Well, hello. Welcome back to Camp Okayest. Feel like it's been absolutely a century since we got a chance to hang out here together. Of course, Camp Okayest, powered now by Kind Oasis, an amazing health-based company that does awesome stuff. I've been talking about their rapid relief stick for years and how awesome it is. You know, after a full day of fishing or you're out hunting, anything that's like aches, pains, muscle, after a day of tournament fishing. Cast. Like the shoulder blades, you start to feel it, and that rapid release stuff in Camp Okayest is absolutely phenomenal for getting rid of the pain. And it's not that lidocaine thing gonna make you smell like grandma either. So if you want to check out kindoasis.com. By the way, I'm Sean Ritter. We haven't ever met or just feel like we don't know each other because it's been absolutely a century. Kind of took a break from the podcast, and this episode is going to be, I guess, just kind of resetting up things as what I'm calling season 2. I mean, I never really intended this show to be something I'd ever take a break that would be like season 1, season 2. But there's been some interesting life events that have happened, and I just kind of want to go through some of that and just kind of fill you in and just reintroduce things. Be like, hey, we're back. We're doing this. As you can see, first off, some changes into the tackle shop / studio. This is all different. So moved around. Got actually bookshelf. And the chair is still there. Some jerseys hanging. The typical tackle stuff, that's all the same. But switch things around, some different lighting and such. That's that part of things. As far as the life things, that's where things have been absolutely insane. So to catch up, last time we got together, last time we chatted here at camp, we were talking with Drew Gregory and Jake Hepner from Kayak Adventure Series and the kind of third new national kayak trail that started in 2024. It was its first year. We had an event coming through my area in Wisconsin, event I was going to fish, and that was the last tournament that I fished. In fact, that was actually the last time that I was in my kayak. So that would have been September 7th, 8th, somewhere around there is when it was of 2024. We're now in 2025. It's been that long since we've done a show. It's been that long since I've been in my kayak, even thought about fishing. Just a lot has changed. And a lot stemmed from an unfortunate accident that happened during that tournament. Any of you that follow me on socials, it's at The Real Ritter. If you want to follow on socials, that you kind of may have seen what's happening. I talked a bit about it, kind of my end of the year post recently. And some people have been like, oh, I didn't know what happened. So I thought I'd just kind of revisit that. And it was sometimes in life, there are moments and things that happen to us for a reason. And I think we don't always know that reason. I mean, think about it. Anytime you've had a serious loss, whether it's a death, a change in a relation, something, we never understand it at the time of why it happened. But I feel like there's always a reason to it. And I think that's something that I've spent a lot of time the last few months really looking at. And that's, I didn't want to come back and start doing the show or start doing anything until I really knew essentially who I really wanted to be and what I want. Not that I was off target of things that I've ever been not who I am. This is the idiot that I am. But I think how I was starting to go about things maybe wasn't within my ethos. All right, and I'm just gonna long story of it. I really went at last year fishing a lot, and we talked a lot about it on this podcast. As much as we're hunting, fishing, or whatever. Intended that there would be a lot more hunting related content on this show throughout fall that fits when everyone's out, hunting throughout the fall. I didn't hunt at all this year because of that accident that happened to me. And just real quick story. So it was at the Kayak Adventure Series. That was a tournament. It's 2 days. So you get Friday afternoon, do an afternoon session and then a full day Saturday. Well, I had some battery problems that first day on Friday. It was a train wreck at times in the water. I don't know what exactly happened. It was showing that my trolling motor showing that my battery was dead. My battery showing it was something within the wiring was not agreeing. And I don't know if there was, something shorted or I had a voltage spike that charged something in a wire. I have no clue what it could be. I'm going to take the whole kayak apart and completely rewire it in the spring. But I decided day 2, I was going to fish but without a motor because the battery, I can't deal with battery issues. I'm not going to do this all day. So I didn't I put the trolling motor on of an emergency. I knew I could get like 5 minutes runtime and then it would shut off. That's kind of what's happening. It would run for a little bit and it would just like say it was dead. I leave it sit for a while. Boom, I can fire it back up and I get like, 3-4 minutes of like a low runtime. So like I wanted that as like a backup plan and not just paddle. So I go out day 2 and I decide, okay, I can't fish the river. I can't fish the kind of stuff that I want to do because I want to get out of current. So I went to Lake Wisconsin. And this whole tournament, by the way, is Wisconsin River System. Basically ran from like, it was hundreds of miles. It was a ton of water to cover. But there's this one big lake kind of in the middle of the river. And so you can kind of tuck out of the river. And so I went to fish a stretch there and thought, you know what, if nothing else, I'm not fishing to win it. I'm literally just going to go to catch some fish, to get my limit, to catch some fish, to have some fun, and then get together with everybody at the end of the day and cheer everybody on, the whole award ceremony and all that stuff. Like, it's camaraderie. That's the biggest part about what I love about tournament fishing is there, you get some camaraderie, especially in the kayak communities, a little more of that, I think, than some of the boat related stuff. So I was just going to go out and finish it up. And the wind picked up. I had, I have 3 fish and lost like another 2. And it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Wind was picking up and coming at me. It's getting real tough to control with just a paddle old school. Like for the people that did it like with a paddle old school for years before all this motors, man, and the pedal drives, like just y'all a different breed is what I will say. Like it's a different way of fishing, especially in a tournament. So if you're just out like fun fishing, like doing your own thing, it's one thing, but like you're trying to move stealthily in certain way. Like anyway, I decide that I'm going to pick up and get off the water and I'm going to move over to another area of the lake that'd be wind protected. So basically, I'm going to go on the other side of the lake to get out of the wind. In order to do this, I can't run across the lake. It would take me 2 hours to get there to where I was. So, in a bass boat, you could do it. Kayak, you can't. So your truck is your bass boat. So I went to take my kayak up out of the water and I, wet launch and truck bed mine. So I back my truck down the ramp. I get the kayak into the back of the truck, and how I had my system set up was a kind of like a latch core, basically like a tie down strap that was permanently in the back of my truck, and I could run it up and clip it onto a cleat that I had in the back of my kayak, and then pull up out of the ramp, and then fully tie, get things sealed down, just enough to pull the kayak into the truck, get it so it's lashed into the truck so the kayak can't fall out, get up out of the ramp, and then push everything in right and strap it down. So I go to do that, and as I start pulling up, I heard like a weird noise. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Something moving the kayak. I'm just going to reset. So I go to back up a little bit down the ramp here to reset. And as I'm backing up, I hear another noise like that. Now, here's the part where I definitely made the mistake. And I'm telling this story so that you don't do the same mistake. And anyone that's backed down a ramp, I guarantee you've done this, because everyone I've talked to and they ask how did it happen? Whatever. Everyone's like, man, I've done that same thing. Hear the noise. You're in a big full-size truck, and in order to look behind you, you can't just look behind you. You can't necessarily look in a mirror because the kayak is below the level of so I can't tell. So how do you do it? You lean out the truck door. You lean out and look behind you. So I went to lean out to look behind me, and as I go to lean out, I set my foot onto my running board. And this is where I'm a dummy. Don't ever lean out to look back unless the truck is in park. First off, we're just don't do it. So when my foot goes to the running board, foot slips off the running board, throws me out of my truck. Still with one hand on the wheel, so I kind of spun as I fell down. My right leg, went underneath the truck, and I literally watched my front wheel, roll over my leg, and watched my entire truck back down the ramp and park in 12 foot of water. It was just absolutely insane. I'll show you a picture here that I've got. I can share my screen here. Get that picture up. Let me see. Bear with me here. If you're listening to the podcast, I apologize, but watching on YouTube, you see this picture here. You see it's terrible grain. I didn't take the picture. Someone else did that sent it. There's my boat sitting above water. You see that white stuff that's down in the lower side? That's the roof of my truck. So somehow, again, the strap that I have, luckily it was I don't know, it was loose enough or what. It was just long enough that my boat was able to float up and float above my truck. So it's I didn't lose everything. Everything is still perfect in my kayak. It's just the truck went, as my wife says, my truck went swimmy. So I got a couple of pictures here, sharing from in the ambulance, taking the ride. There's in the hospital. I mean, obviously I got brought into the hospital for the whole thing. Crazy. This is all I walked away with for injuries. So that ankle, the bandage on my ankle, that's actually where the truck ran me over. And I've still got like the scars there. The stuff on the toe is just kind of like some road rash stuff that scraped on the boat ramp from falling, and my knee, like that was the worst part. I've already got a bad knee there, and there's a spot on my knee that is an old injury that's what I fell on. So that really caused like the most pain of this entire thing. So it's just absolutely an insane, crazy moment that's what happened. So I got run over my truck, lost my F-150 that had 35,000 miles on it. I mean, a complete, like it's trashed, gone. Lucky for insurance and all those things. I mean, realistically, I came out like dead wash. Like it didn't actually end up costing me any money. Like whatever deity you subscribe to, they were looking out for me on that day. Like I know it. Like I feel it. It was insane that all of that transpired. That it was just like from that crazy accident, I get run over, get barely any injuries. Like it doesn't cost me thousands of dollars to replace things. And one of the most amazing parts of the whole thing, and I got to give a shout out to what it was the Shell, it was the towing service at the Shell in. My gosh, my brain is slipping the township. They were like so amazing people there. So I get slipped in the ambulance. They're like, wrecker company, they're going to come. They'll get the truck out. They'll take care of your boat and all that stuff and, worry about this later. So I go to the hospital. They're still shocked that, like, first off, when I call 911, like, the operator couldn't believe that I was walking. I'm like, I'm pacing around. I'm walking. I'm fine. I mean, it wasn't until like I got on the phone with my wife, who is a medical professional, a nurse, surgical, all this stuff. She advised me, she's like, sit down, stop moving, like shock, whatever. I knew shock was. Oh, by the way, sorry, I'm ADD to the max here. I forgot the most important part of the story that I got to tell you. All right, so let's rewind here before the ambulance comes. I kind of get up from the water from everything happened. My truck's sunk down. I see my windshield wipers going. I didn't turn them on. I don't know why they were going. I don't know how. It must be a short situation. So windshield wipers waving, boats floating above. I can see like the roof of the truck. What do I do? Like I need help. I got to call like something. And I start doing like the pat around. Where's my phone? Crap. No, it's not in the truck. All right. That's the best. Remember, it's not in the truck. My phone was in my boat. So on the boat, I don't know if you've seen anything in videos or whatever. I've talked about it. I've got the Yak Attack short stacks, the little tiny cases that stack right next to me. That's kind of where I keep my like quick terminal stuff that I get to. Like on the top one, the bottom, I flip down. Like when I take baits off, I just drop it in that one. So that's kind of like my catch-all for baits. And then the key terminal stuff that I need and use, kind of tools, whatever I keep there. My phone, I also put in there from time to time. So I knew my phone is there. I'm looking out and I'm like, I'll go get my phone. So I pull my life vest. It inflates one side, the other side doesn't. I jump back in the water. All right. As soon as I hit the water, the other side inflates. But I swim back out to my kayak, pull myself up onto it, open the box, grab my cell phone out, put it between my teeth, and I swim back my head up the water. Well, as I'm going past, like I get to my truck, like I don't know where my brain thought, like, oh, try it while you're here. Like I kind of like I hold my phone up so it's not like above, and I like tuck myself down into my truck and trying to like step on the gas pedal. It's not going anywhere. Like I'm a moron. I should have known, but I felt like I needed to do it. So I did that. So then I obviously, swim back, get up out of water, and then that's when I call 911. Like I swam back out to get my phone. Baby stupidity. But I knew in that moment as I stood at the end of the dock and I was like shouting and no one was anywhere around. Like I was purely alone. I knew I had to make something happen for myself, and I knew that shock would kick in and I've got to do it before like I lose that adrenaline. So that's why I jumped back in, did it. Anyway, call 911, talk to them. They're sending an ambulance, whatever. I'm shocked that they let me get off the phone and then call my wife, but I don't know. I told them what she does for a living and they're like, okay. So I call her, she makes me sit down. So when the sheriff walks up and it's like, so what happened? I guarantee that, by the way, law enforcement officer, that sheriff's department official that came up, their first thought when they're rolling up to it was dumb, drunk, or drugs. You know what I mean? Like accidents like that, I feel like just don't happen. And the fact that I was there and I told them like this is crazy, the weirdest thing, super chill about it, get in the ambulance, get off, whatever. I know it's tough to follow with me. The people that came to like take my truck out, dude, they were amazing. Not only get the truck out, and I went back and picked out any stuff out of my truck that I wanted that I could still salvage, that was still keepable. And I had some stuff that was in the vehicle that I still wanted out. A lot of it pretty much just ended up trash, sleeping bags, stuff like that, because I slept in my truck. But the boat, I had all of my fishing gear. Like I had both my Garmin graphs, my full live scope setup, all my batteries, my black pack just stocked loaded full of baits. I mean, what did I have? 10 rods and reels. Like, I mean, it was thousands of dollars of stuff. Not a single thing had moved was the most impressive part. And I had like 3 rods on like a side rod stage that I built, the 3 rods outside. I had 3 rods laying in there. I thought for sure, I was like, in the process of things, like, I guarantee one of those rods is going to fall in the wall. Like, I'm losing something. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, like, I'm losing a rod or 2 or whatever. Nothing. Everything was in the same spot that I left it. Mind blowing. Just amazing, amazing people. So grateful for how they treated that and treated my stuff, essentially. Stuff is, and that's what I just kept telling everyone. They're like, are you worried? Like, you lost your truck. I'm like, listen, it's just stuff. I'm still here. I have, my wife, my dogs, my son. Like, I've got everything. Speaking of there, I've got one of the dogs with me. I don't even see him. He's somewhere down. He's hiding. I've got my Schnauzer with me. Unfortunately, it was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. We lost our Yorkie. Our little Penny. She's been around since my wife and I got married. Like, we literally got married in October of 2013, January 2014. Penny came into our life, came into our house. So she's our first kid. She's been around forever, and it's been tragic losing her. But I mean, we still got Brewski, and he's taken it really rough. I mean, anyone that has like 2 dogs, if you lose one of the dogs, especially a dog that literally has known their entire life only having their other dog in the house, it's been rough watching that, and our Yorkie was like really my wife's, like, a dog will pick a person. A lot of dogs, like Schnauzers, I'm his person. He loves his mom, but like, I'm his person. That was the other way. Our Yorkie was like, my wife was it, and I was secondary. So it's been rough around our house to start the new year after having all like my stuff happen. But it's been crazy. From that accident happening, it really put me to standstill and had to stop and think about how things are going. Like, I fished a lot last year, running the whole, Midwest Kayak Bass Series, jumping a Kayak Adventure Series, some other thing. I was at like 10 tournaments at that time. And I started really replaying it through and thinking back, my wife was going through all the emotions when she was coming out to pick me up from the hospital, not knowing exactly what shape I'm in. She just knew what happened. So putting her through that, having me go through that, thinking about how much I fished, how much I was away this past year, it definitely changed things and put it in perspective. And that's where, like, I just, in that moment, as soon as like I was grateful to like have my health, have my family, I'm like, none of the rest of it matters. The podcast, fishing, all of it. It's, my personal brand stuff, YouTube, none of it mattered. Just gone. I mean, the YouTube stuff also stopped because I lost a ton of content. So I had my MacBook Pro was in my truck when I went swimmies, and MacBooks don't come back from being submerged for, it was probably an hour. Like, they're not coming back. So, I mean, I had lost hours upon hours of video that I'd shot. I had like hours upon hours into stuff that I'd edited that was like, literally, I had a month worth on my YouTube channel just ready to like publish. You know what I mean? I had everything just ready to go through, like one last pass through, render, publish. Like, that's where I was at. There's hours of work put into it. All that lost. But it's just stuff. Who cares? So that's why I just kicked it all aside. I'm like, I'm not thinking about any of that until at least the new year. And, really enjoyed time with the family through fall. Like I said, I did not bow hunt. I didn't hunt at all. Main part of that was just with the injuries. I didn't want to re-hurt myself. Like, I'm thinking, between the ankle stuff and knee, I'm like, I'm going to walk through the woods. I'm going to trip. I'm going to hurt myself worse. And then I won't be able to fish right away in spring. Like, I love hunting. I love bow hunting, but I really love fishing. And so I'm going to put a priority on that. So I spent more time with the family in the fall and did a lot of things that I haven't done the last couple of falls because I've been focused on going out bow hunting and stuff, or fishing in between. And, that stuff all together made me be like, you know what? I need to pump the brakes. And I don't know if I was just going too hard, too fast, or, there's a couple tournaments this year that were like, just one thing swings the other way and everything's totally different. I've got, one that was on the Madison chain, in around Madison, Wisconsin, that if I, hey, Heinz, Brisky. My schnauzer's itching himself. Sorry. Um, one thing goes right. Like I had two fish get denied because, you couldn't read something identifier. My mistake, my fault. Totally messed that up. Get it. Totally take responsibility. Had an 18 jump off the board. Like, lost that. So, like, three of my biggest fish lost. Like, bring those back. It's a much different finish there. Much different feeling from that tournament. I had a couple of mistakes, but, like, I get, the second one of the year could have been great. I was, like, so close. I got something figured out. My main plan, my big fish disappeared that morning, but I still figured things out. First term of the year was like 30 some blowups, only caught three of them. Like, it just kept feeling like it was like one thing. Like, I was so close. And, when it's your day, it's your day. So it's like, just keep going. At the Fox Lake thing where I had again, wiring battery debacle, and the spot that I was going to head to, the guy that won the tournament literally was on that spot. He got there. Super, super stoked for Jason. Awesome dude, has a cool bait company that he runs. Like, super excited for people. But it's like, again, just like, there's the one thing. It's like every time there's one. So I just kept pushing. And I'm like, why the hell am I doing this now? Like, why? So, like, going into this year, I might fish 2 tournaments. I'm stepping back. I'm going to do a lot more fun fishing. I want to fish with my friends. Matt, Greg, the guys from Okayest Fisher. I want to fish with those guys more. Like, I want to get out and not be so weird of being serious. I love competing. I love the camaraderie, but I got to change it up and do more things that focus on hanging with the family. Like, I really enjoyed that. And I hate that I missed out on that. Original thought was that family travel along with us and, travel when I'd go and fish tournaments. The original plan is to have a camper this year. We've changed our mind on that too. And we're going to go a different route. But yeah, like, family, that stuff's what matters, man. Like, my accident, my whole thing, I hope can, like, maybe help give you a little perspective. I said all along, like, we're all just okay at things. That's this show. That's this podcast network. You look at the guys from, Okayest Cook. You look at the whole, Okayest Hunter crew, where that came from. I mean, every podcast down the entire network is just a bunch of dudes just trying to do our best. We're all going to screw up more than we do things right. And the screw ups sometimes lead to happy little accidents. Being transparent about that, being forward about that, that's what we are. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. There's going to be a lot of guests coming up too on the show, like, just like we have in the past. We're going to be real. We're going to talk about things, and I mentioned we had the guys from Big Mouth Fishing on, back on what I'm going to call last season. We kind of got talking about, relationships and sponsor relationships, people, and I think that was the biggest thing that pushed me so hard last year, was feeling like I owed so much to sponsors, like that I had to do these things and I had to push harder and I had to push further because I owed it to them. At the end of the day, screw it. You don't owe anything to anybody but yourself. Those sponsors, and I love all of my sponsors, not bashing anyone, but, like, I know from other people like that, it can disappear. So I will always do my damnedest in bust my tail and put best foot forward for any companies that I work with or for. But at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself, for your own well-being, for your family. That's what matters most. And I learned that through my accident. And don't ever lean out the side of a truck without having in park. Those are the 2 takeaways from the entire thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back at things. It's been weird to be away. I love getting a chance to, like, do this every week and hang out and chit chat. And, it was always like Thursdays, we'd hit the YouTube channel, and, like, Friday, the podcast would be available wherever you stream things. I don't know what that's going to look like this year. I know weekly there'll be a show, and eventually I'll figure out that rhythm, but, like, I still haven't got that all shaken out. I had an entire job change too that went along, with this whole accident. It just so happened all at the same time. But, like, I moved into a whole other role with a rapidly growing company that, like, we've got a lot of things going on. So there's a lot of moving pieces with real job, with work related things. As much as before, a large portion of what I did was my own stuff, and kind of being your own boss was great. But also now, like, going back and utilizing the skill set that I have from my own stuff in another realm is fun and exciting and new and challenging. And, I'm enjoying that, but I'm also looking forward to doing this again. And so just finding that balance between the two is what we're going to be working on here the first coming weeks. But there will be new shows. And if there's something specific that you want to hear us talk about, or you want to like have a conversation about, like, chairs open, like, grab a seat, let's chit chat. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be here in the studio, like home, like we do that. We have technology that's amazing these days, but I invite you, hit me up, reach out, send me a message, send me a DM, like, whatever it would be. If you've got specific questions, drop a comment here. I'll, answer them on here, or, social media. I know like we've not done much. I've not done much with Camp Okayest. I really don't even do much of my own stuff. I just told you that. But, there'll be more Camp Okayest stuff coming. We're going to be more active on the social there. So, hit me up there. Give us a follow. Anything that you want to see, like, that you want to be a part of, let's do it. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the show wherever you listen. I'm looking forward to moving forward, doing some more things, some new things in this year, and just getting back to the roots. We're going to talk a lot of crazy stuff. Not going to drink as much. That's also a change. I got a Blanton's bottle back there. I did the whole dry January thing for the first time this year. Y'all, it's crazy. It's a kid that grew up in Wisconsin. Alcohol is like a huge part of our culture. Literally that month of January was the first. I can't remember a time that I'd gone that long without having a drink. And, you've seen this cup on the show. This is legit a ginger ale, ice and ginger ale. That's it. Like, I literally live on sparkling water and like zero sugar sodas. That's in, I feel great. Not saying I won't have a beverage. Went out last night, celebrated my birthday with my wife, and had a couple of cocktails at amazing James Beard finalist restaurant. Like, shout out to Chef Gregory Leone at Amalinda in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Phenomenal dinner. Like, everything was great. Had some good cocktails. I'll still do that from time to time, but I'm not going to be like I normally on this show, where I was sitting here and there was times like going back. I remember some of the first episodes, dude, I was polishing, 2 little snifters of whiskey and something. Like, amazing how it's changed. Also realized I put on way too much weight in the last year, and it's time to do something about that too. So changes are coming for 2025. Invite you to come along the changes. I want to know about the changes that you've made, and maybe some goals of yours in this year. I'd love to talk about it. If you want to drop a message of what that is, tell me, and love to talk about it on the show. Even if you don't want to like be on, you just want to send a message, I can read it. We can talk about it in a, that old school dear whatever. What is it, like, remember newspapers used to do that? They have like a section, like an advice section where you'd write in, and someone that you never knew or never met, barely knows you, tries to give you advice on something that they probably didn't have a place giving advice in. Yeah, I'm going to be that person for what it's worth. But thanks for tuning in here. Real short one, kind of messy and sloppy and discombobulated and whatever. But we're back. Camp Okayest is back. Just wanted to say hey, and be ready next week. We'll have a guest with us. We're going to have some fun. So we'll chat with you next time.